and of course, a question from our listener that I want to put to you. And they ask that my green card interview under the F2B category is coming up. Will I have any problems if I performed a religious wedding but didn't register the marriage?
Oh, yes. This is going to be problematic. First of all, let's remember the F2B preference category is when a green card mother or father petitioner is sponsoring an unmarried son or daughter 21 years or older. So you have to be unmarried until you obtain your green card, not when you file the I-130 or when the I-130 is approved or when your priority date becomes current. It's actually all the way until you immigrate to the U.S. You have to remain unmarried. And unfortunately, you know, this F2B category is backlogged for India, so it could take years before your son and daughter can immigrate to the U.S. And remaining single, unmarried until your late 20s in some case is hard for families, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is they believe that they can perform the religious ceremony without registering the marriage. So if you think you can pull a fast one on immigration by doing this, think again, because the religious marriage is valid for U.S. immigration purposes if it's recognized under the laws of the place where it was formed. So in other words, a religious marriage could be valid for immigration purposes, even if it's not officially registered with the civil authorities. And to find out the specifics regarding whether it's a valid marriage for each country, we look to the U.S. Department of State's reciprocity tables and the marriage laws for that country. So for India in particular, the reciprocity tables say that marriages can be conducted by religious or civil ceremonies, and a religious marriage is generally considered a legal marriage. So for marriages that are registered under the Hindu Marriage Act, you know, which affects Hindus, Jains, Sikhs, and Buddhists, the certificate issued by the temple is provided to the registrar of marriages to get the actual formal marriage certificate. So, you know, there is this common misconception in our community that if you don't register this religious marriage ceremony, it's not official. But it's important to understand that the act of the religious ceremony constitutes the union, the marriage, which is recognized as legal. And then registering that is basically a formality, you know, that was required since 2006 to obtain that marriage certificate. So just because you didn't register that civil ceremony, the religious ceremony, it still counts because it's recognized in India, this religious ceremony. So if you omit this or intentionally hide this fact that you know, because you didn't register it, you know, they're going to deny your case. And more importantly, you know, you also could be found inadmissible for misrepresentation. You know, they can find you that, hey, you misrepresented, you know, this is a material fact for your approval. Because if you're married, you're no longer qualified. And so if your status has changed since the I-130 was filed, this would be disclosed when you do that DS-260, that immigrant visa application, many, many years later, which asks about your current marital status. So think long and hard before you decide to, you know, take steps on doing the religious ceremony, you know, because they will find out. You know, you say, well, how are they going to know? Well, they have a lot of databases. They also receive poison pen letters. You know, these are anonymous letters that are written out of spite or jealousy, accusing somebody, you know, because they're jealous. Maybe they were a supposed potential match for somebody, right? And now they're very upset about that. So they might send an anonymous letter to the consulate. So this is going to raise suspicions, right? And they're going to do field investigations. Red flags are going to go up when you show up for the interview. So, you know, you better make sure that you think long and hard about this. Now, even if you say, let's say nobody finds out, they get the green card and you travel to the U.S., it's still problematic because I'm sure at some point you want to sponsor your spouse for a green card, right? You're going to need a marriage certificate, which will show that you performed this religious ceremony before you received your green card. So if they discovered that you were married prior to immigrating, now you're going to jeopardize your green card status as well. So it's important to have this basic but crucial understanding of the marriage procedures in India to avoid these serious problems. So, for our listener who asked this question, unfortunately, if they see that you perform this religious ceremony, even though you didn't register it, this is going to be a problem for your I-130. Yeah.
So come clean with it right at the beginning. Well, thank you so much. Don't do it.
Advice is don't do it. Wait until you immigrate.
Great advice there. Thank you, Snehal. And that's Snehal Batra of the NPZ Law Group, immigration lawyers to help you through the US and Canadian